everybody, and welcome to another exciting edition. Actually, it's the final edition for this season of the SoCal Prep Report. Richard Stralin with Randy Rosenblum and Bob Gibson, and we're coming to you from the LA City Section Finals. We're here at Dodger Stadium, and thanks for joining us today. And fellas, it's been a long day. We've been here for 2 games. I think last week we were here for the CIF Southern Section. It was 3 games, and it didn't even last half this long. But let's talk about the games. Earlier today, we had Narbonne taking on Marshall. 4-0 a victory by Narbonne. And Randy, it was a good game. Let's just face it. Narbonne has a lot of good players, and they showed their mettle today.
Yeah, they really did. And what was so amazing about the Gauchos winning it is they lost 10 games in a row earlier in the season. They end up 16-20, but they're champions because they came on strong at the end of the year. And Bill Dillon's team is very, very youthful. He had only 1 senior in the starting lineup, 8 underclassmen. They get the job done. They get into D1, and they get their first championship since 1991.
Narbonne's got 9 sophomores on this team. 9 sophomores. They have 3 freshmen listed on their roster for today's game, man. That's just insane that they would dominate the LA City Section. It wasn't a dominant season, but in the playoffs they were dominant, and today they were.
Yeah, and they got great respect. They were the #1 seed in Division I. So once they went down to D1 and didn't make the open division, the committee realized that they were a pretty strong team coming out of the Marine League, which had San Pedro, which was the top seed all season long in the LA City section, although they didn't get to Dodger Stadium in the playoffs. So the Marine League has a lot of respect. That's one of the reasons that Narbonne dropped so many games. They're in a tough Marine League. But to their credit, down the stretch, they put it together, and they're city champions.
Well, and it shows you how you can take a young team like that just has to learn early, right?
Right.
And they took their lumps, and they went through their growing pains, and when they came together, all that talent really started to show through, and we saw it really come to fruition here this afternoon.
And something else to point out in this final with Narbonne and Marshall, the fact that Marshall's got 6 underclassmen too. 12 underclassmen. They got 6 juniors and I believe 6 freshmen on their roster coming into today. So the youth movement is alive and well in the city section for these title teams.
Yeah, and they have been dominant in the Northern League. You know, Marshall came in here with a 15-game winning streak, and it got snapped. They just didn't play well today. Just one of those days they didn't have it. But the Barristers had a great year, a first-year head coach. I think they'll come back. I think they'll be dangerous next year. And they had a terrific year. They had a big-time winning record. So it's kind of surprised that they got upended, but they came in as the #2 seed because Narbonne came out of the stronger Marine League.
Well, with as much youth and experience as both these teams had in this game today, I wouldn't be surprised to see one or both of them back in the final next year.
And then that's what I was saying, right? I mean, such a young team to get this kind of experience here, much like we saw in the Open Division game where you see a team that becomes a veteran team that knows how to play here. You get that experience. That means a lot if you get a chance to come back here in the future.
I think the only difference, neither one of those teams are going to want to come back and play D1 and go down. They're going to want to be in the Open Division.
Sure.
So it's going to be, can Narbonne knock off San Pedro? It's going to be another strong Pirates team next year. And how good will Birmingham and be in the West Valley? Can they get knocked off by some of these other teams? But I just think that Marshall and Narbonne are 2 teams that could be very strong again next year.
Now, Bob and Randy got a little bit of time to go down there and talk to the players after the first game. And this is what they came back with. Watch Randy closely. Wait for it. Wait for it.
The last time Narbonne won an LA City Section baseball title, 5-1 over Franklin in 1991. They bring it home today in a 4-0 victory over Marshall. Head coach Bill Dillon, 16 years of excellence, and I would imagine this is a shining moment for you personally.
Definitely. We have a really young group, and we had parts in our season that were pretty slow. We had 10 games where we lost in a row, but through injuries, my young group stayed the course and found our way in the #1 seed of Division I, and I'm really proud of our guys. They bounced back. It's super proud.
When did you see this coming? Obviously, you have a 10-game losing streak. You're a team that lost 20 games, but something turned around. When did you see that?
I think the healthiness of our team. We were injured and banged up early. It wasn't like we just started winning games. We're losing those in that 10-game streak of losses. We lose Long Beach Poly in 11 innings, lose the North in 8 innings. You look at our record, the scores, we're in every game, but then we started to win, learn how to win. That was the difference, I think.
DJ Orona struggled in the first inning. First and third, nobody out, but he got out of it, and after that, the defense helped out, and he fashions a brilliant 5 hitter.
Yeah, I was super. I don't know. I thought for him he had to get comfortable. So in the first inning, it looked like he couldn't find his nerves, and we had a guy get loose in the bullpen. I think him seeing that realized it was just a reminder for him: get loose, fill it, and fortunately he stayed in the game. I didn't think he'd have a complete game. There's no way.
You're paying the cleaning bill on my suit, I think, right?
I'm sorry.
That's Gatorade. I can taste the Gatorade.
Yes.
You paying the bill on the suit?
I have to on that one. I'm okay with it.
Narbonne's got a big budget.
Yes. I don't know about that part, but yeah, I'll pay the bill.
All right. No worries. Let's get back to DJ and your defense. Behind him, you threw out 2 runners at home plate.
Yeah, that was huge. I think for, DJ does a really good job of shutting the running game down to give our guy a chance to throw him out, but you see how many times we picked today. We just don't want to give away inches, and that's the difference, I think, for Martin to throw him out.
And you had clutch at bats, 2 out hits to score runs.
Yeah, that's a big difference. Those are huge for Julio and Chris to get us on the board early. Those are huge. That's what was missing early in the year. We were leaving guys on base with less than 2 outs, and those are humongous. And I think he took the win out of their sails because of that 2-run RBI to go up by 4.
Last ad before I let you go, Bill, and I've known you for a while. This is a very young team, and you alluded to that.
Super excited about
You're going to be
the
very strong next year. I know you're celebrating the moment, but the future and the entire Marine League. San Pedro had a great team, and they're very young. But you should be outstanding next year.
Absolutely. I'm super fired up. I know last year we took a big hit. It was just one of our rougher years since I've been at Narbonne. But with the younger group, I knew we just had to stay the course. And fortunately now, it won't be freshmen and sophomores and some juniors. It'll be juniors and seniors that have 2 to 3 years experience. I'm fired up for next year. And I'm super happy enjoying this moment.
Congratulations.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much.
That's Bill Dillon, a championship coach. And DJ, his pitcher was brilliant. And he's standing by with Bob Gibson.
All right, thank you, Randy. And we're here with the obvious player of the game, DJ Orona. DJ, congratulations. How does it feel now that it's kind of set in a little bit? CIF champion. What does it feel like to be a CIF champion?
It feels amazing. I'm just truly blessed. Yeah.
You got in a little bit of trouble early on, right? You were able to work out of it. The defense really worked hard behind you. We were just talking right before we came on. You had to take a second when you first got on the field to kind of take this all in. A little overwhelming at first, right?
Yeah, definitely.
What were you able to do just to kind of settle yourself down?
Well, when I came in the dugout after the first inning, my coach just told me to calm down, take a deep breath before I go out there and have fun. Most importantly, have fun. Also, I prayed. I asked God just help me through the rest of the game, and He did.
And then then the chance to get a couple of runs on the board, right?
Yeah,
I mean, that really helps. And then as a pitcher, right, does that sort of help you go? Okay, now I can work and I can do what I do.
Yeah. After we got the big knock by Chris in the I think it was the second inning to score, one of our leadoff runners, it just eased all the tension, and then they just kept on putting on and putting on.
At what point this season did you realize, hey, this is a real special team, and we got a chance to get to this point?
We noticed it last year, to be honest, but this year coming in, we had injuries and some guys didn't have grades, but we were able to come off a 10-game losing streak this year and just keep battling. We never gave up. I think that was key. We never gave up.
When you kind of had that little struggle early on, did somebody pull you aside in the dugout? Any of your teammates, anybody say, hey, pat you in the back?
Well, my coach Ramos, he's majored this playoffs. He's always just been helping me out when I get in trouble, always telling me, taking my time. And then also I had Coach Dale inside the dugout. He just always said something funny to me when I came in to make me laugh, and it was just good energy.
Now, you seem to be throwing harder at the end of the game than you were maybe towards the beginning. Was that, were you just getting pumped up as you got through here and you wanted to finish this thing out?
The first inning, I had to kind of get used to the mound, and I was kind of stiff. My coach Millsy told me that I was stiff, and I had to just loosen up. And after the later innings, I loosened up, and I was able to put some extra on it.
That's actually a good point. How different is the mound here than the ones you normally would pitch on?
At Narbonne, it's just all dirt, and when you step, you kind of slide. But here, I was able to get my footing down. Timing was perfect.
Yeah. Just a sophomore, right? So the feeling maybe this is good, right? You want to do this a couple more times, right?
Yeah, yes, sir.
Right. And a great way to send the seniors out, right?
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah.
I couldn't be happier.
Yeah, well, congratulations. Huge win. Go celebrate with your teammates, and good job.
Thank you.
All right, Bob, so DJ Orona had a great game today, and you better be on in the finals because in the game we just saw right now, man, it was back and forth, but Orona really did put the locks on him today.
And you talk about one of those sophomores, and he really came up big here today. A little bit of a struggle early, had to work through that, got some good defense behind him, and then once he got a couple of runs, as you heard him say, he was able to settle down. But I think really a key here to talk about, and I asked him about it, was the mound. much different than what you see on a regular high school mound. And I think that's a big difference, right? A major league mound that's going to be a little bit higher up, and he said it took him a little bit to get used to that, guys. And I think that's really one of the things you can talk about here is that, for the pitchers, it's really we talk about a different atmosphere, but really for the pitchers.
Randy, you talked about that.
Yeah, the mound, it took him a while to get adjusted to Dodger Stadium. But the other factor was his defense. They threw out 2 runners, Barrister runners at home plate. So Marshall had a couple runners cut down. They also had some base runners shot down on the base paths. So give credit for the defense of Narbonne, and also to Bill Dillon. We talked about how young his team is. To have them hang in there after that 10-game losing streak earlier in the year, and to believe they can come into the playoffs and win a city championship, that's great credit to a 16-year head coach who knows what he's doing.
You still got a little Gatorade there.
I still probably have some Gatorade on.
Before we start the show.
The suit dried nicely, didn't it?
Apparently.
Still got the same gear on. I'm in good shape.
Got some
I
good.
needed some rain stuff, didn't I?
I know, right?
Randy had some good Scotch guard.
Randy a rain
Yes.
slicker for next season,
Randy, you talked about the dimensions possibly playing a factor in a game like this. I kept saying, Randy, they're both playing on the same field, but it appears some kids may have adjusted a little bit better. And again, didn't even think about the pitching, Bob, that the fact that the mound is a little bit higher in the major leagues, obviously, than you're going to find in your typical high school field.
Go ahead, Bob. But I think for the most part, the facility didn't play a major role as it normally does in either one of the games we saw today.
And I agree. And I thought DJ showed really a lot of maturity to say, hey, you know what? I took a moment in center field and I looked around and I kind of got out of my system that, hey, this is Dodger Stadium, right? And this is kind of a big time thing. He said, once I got that out, then I got on the mound and I was able to fire and deal and really get within, being there. And that's a lot to say for a 10th grader, 15, 16 years old, to be able to do that and get himself locked in on the mound. And once he got locked in, he was dealing. In fact, he was throwing harder later, as we talked about,
than he
was earlier in the game. So,
well,
the sky's the limit for Narbonne. Here's a kid coming back with 2 more years. It's just going to get even better.
Yeah, he's poised.
I've already heard the word protest in here because it was word on the street that Narbonne had broken at Dodger Stadium during the week and was practicing here, Randy.
I didn't
Somebody's
hear that
got
rumor.
video.
That's a
I've heard
Rich
it.
Estrella rumor.
Rich
You
started
heard
that one.
it. You heard it here first, man. They cut the locks in there, and they were working out here. No doubt about that. But again, it wasn't a problem for Narbonne today. Again, 4-0 decisive win. Great pitching, good ball game, but nothing like that second game today, fellas.
Yeah, that was a wild game, and there was a case.
A long and wild game.
It was long, 3.5 hours, but it was a case where Birmingham's advantage, playing here for the 3rd time in a row. This is their 3rd straight city championship, 9-5. Palisades came in here and they were a little shaky early, and Birmingham jumped them and got out to a 3, and then later a 5-0 lead. To Pally's credit, they battled all the way back. But again, Birmingham, being here, able to play small ball at this facility, got some more runs on the board and held on with a pitching staff that had been overworked. And Birmingham has done it. They've won their 3rd straight city title, only the 3rd school in history. Chatsworth did it from 07, 08, and 09. And Fremont did it in 46, 47, and 48. Those are the only 2 schools that have ever done it.
Wow.
So they're the 3rd school ever to do it, 3 in a row.
It's great when you can mesh, the old timers into what's going on nowadays, because it's the same game, basically.
Well, the West Valley is the dominant league in high school baseball in the city section. That's 6 titles in a row for the West Valley. The streak continues. 27 straight wins for the San Fernando Valley. Wow. So the teams from over the hill haven't won since '92 when Pedro beat Poly. That's the last time it happened. And here's the bigger stat. 46 out of the last 47 champions in the highest division in the LA City section are from the San Fernando Valley.
Come on.
46 out
he's
of 47.
not lying.
That's not even possible.
There's been so many tight games where the team from over the hill is beaten in the last inning or 2 by the Valley schools.
They got to fall down and luck into one of these years, right? I mean,
they did. In 1992, they lucked into one. San Pedro over Poly.
Unreal. That kind of a streak is unreal. It
27 in a row now.
Mm-hmm. But I thought you brought up a really great point in the fact that, when Pally came back and tied the game, no panic at all from the Birmingham side, right? In fact, they loaded the bases that very next half inning, and they walked in a run to go ahead again. So I thought that was really clutch, and I thought, here's a team, as you mentioned, right, that has been here before in this stadium, has played for championships, and they know how to do it.
But wait a minute. Here's the whole thing. Here's where it's going to come down for Palisades. If they ever find out that Larry Savala was messing with that scoreboard. I told you guys, they were like being clairvoyant. Did you notice it was off by a run?
It was off by a run.
It was off by a
for
run,
a long
and
time.
it was like, hey, they got 5 runs up there, but they only got 4 right now.
You notice Larry just left.
Like-
He left
Yeah,
the press
right.
box.
He's-
And I said,
He's
Larry,
running
do
down the
not
hallway.
tell them.
Larry!
He's guilty.
This scoreboard is clairvoyant. They're setting it up, man. It's telling you ahead of time what's happening. It's like getting the newspaper the day before, and then he ratted them out, and that's when it all turned bad. for
You never know with
Palisades.
Larry. He does crazy things. But I want to
He's our producer,
give
by
a
the way.
shout out to Sebastian Cueva. He was the pitcher, came in.
Yeah.
Again, Birmingham's pitching staff was on fumes.
I thought that was Eric's horse for a minute.
No. Eric Sotheimer had a horse running today, and it's still
Nailed it,
running.
though.
Okay.
Not good.
But Sebastian Cueva came in. Palisades was about to take the lead. They tied at 5 apiece. Back-to-back batters went to 3 and 2. He continued to throw strikes and got 1 to pop up and 1 to strike out.
Yep.
Then Cueva finished off the game. His performance out of the bullpen was heroic for Birmingham.
Yeah, it was a gutty performance. It
It
really
really
was
was.
because he got them through some tough times, and he threw good pitches when he needed to. Right? There was times where you thought he was in a little bit of trouble,
Right.
and he worked out of it every single time.
I had him at getting the hook
Well,
2 or
look
3
at
times.
I know, right?
these things weren't that tough, Bob. A couple of times these balls were just like half a seat in, and nobody was reaching for these balls, man. I would have jumped over the railing and caught those foul balls.
Rich would have
Got
knocked his
out of
teeth
him.
out
We
trying to
never would've
dive
had
in,
bases loaded. I'm just saying.
No, I believe you. It's that extra effort of Rich Estray. He can make the play. I think.
Hey, we're just having some fun, man. And then, listen, it's been a great year. Getting down to the end of it. Got to congratulate Birmingham, Marshall, Narbonne, everybody that got to play in the finals today. It's a big deal coming out here and being able to play in Dodger Stadium. Alex, I'm going to flip over there and give him a shot. What is making all that noise down there? Is it that one guy there with like is that a weed blower?
They're good.
You hear that? You hear it all
yeah.
the way up here. We're like 2,000
yeah.
yards away, Randy.
Well, they got to get the field ready
I
for
don't
the
understand- I don't understand
the
how
defending
it's doing.
National League
What's it
champions to
doing,
come
though,
back and
Bob?
play.
And by the way, I do feel bad for Palisades. They've never won the upper division. They won a lower division invitational title over Granada Hills in 2003. But every time they seem to come to Dodger Stadium, they struggle. And Mike Vogel's done a nice job there. He got his Dolphins here. He had a shot. They just couldn't get it done. So let's credit Palisades, who had a great record.
Yeah.
They were a high seed all the way through. They had some great wins getting to the finals. But, hey, they just come up a little
Well,
bit
that's
short.
why I don't feel sorry for them because they got to the finals.
Yeah,
So I
they
don't
had a
feel
great
bad.
year.
We had a 20-win team win a championship today, and we had a 20-loss team
Oh,
win a
geez.
championship today.
Here's the
love
real,
it.
here's
What does
the
that
real
tell you?
kicker. Birmingham has not been great the last 3 years in the regular season. They somehow find a way to win championships and win the playoffs. Between the two champions, Banning, right? They lost 20. Birmingham lost 16. These teams don't play that many games. Between the two, 36 losses
Wow.
for the D1 champ and the Open champ. But yet, what are we saying? They're champions.
Yeah.
Get hot at the right time,
Right
and
time.
this is the right time to be hot.
I mean, I got to think Birmingham would have been a heavy favorite today simply because they play here all the time.
It's a home
They
game.
play every year.
It's a home game.
Absolutely. They got an extra home game in the playoffs. So.
And their catcher, Johnny Tincher,
Oh.
is sensational behind the home plate area. He's on his way to the University of Washington. He threw 3 Poly Parrots out in the semifinals to help get him here 1-0. He shot down a base runner late in the game to snuff out a Dolphins rally. Why these teams are running on Tincher, I have no idea. He is a spectacular catcher. He did his fabled flip late after the game, after everybody left. 3 years in a row, he's brought this team here. He's been the hero. Certainly one of the real keys to Birmingham winning 3 in a row. That guy's a winner.
Well, good to leave with 3 rings, right? And
Yeah.
to leave on that kind of a high note like that. I mean, city section legend.
You know, it's interesting because Milton Knox in football at Birmingham, same school, won 3 titles in 4 years. Similar. It's not easy to win LA City section football championships nowadays unless you're Narbonne.
Unless you're Narbonne.
Yeah, who's won 5 in a row. But Knox at Birmingham had 3 rings, and now Tincher, and I don't know if there's anyone else on the roster, they have 3 rings. But for Johnny Tincher, this has got to be a fabulous day.
Oh,
All
for
right.
sure.
Before we shift gears here and get into some of the big stories of the year, let's talk real quick. I found out today Dean Crowley passed away, the former commissioner of the Seattle Center section. Worked with Dean on many projects, All-Star games and the such. And I was very surprised to hear that today because Dean, every time I see him, he's always like a bundle of energy, running around doing stuff.
Yeah, unfortunately, there comes an end for all of us, and he was 85. He lived a productive, great life out
Absolutely,
of
he did.
Alhambra. Went to Alhambra High School, later became the commissioner from 93 to 99. I worked with Dean a few times. Was always very cordial to me, and I feel bad about it. That's the first thing I got up and saw this morning when we were coming here, and that was not the way I wanted to start the day. And condolences to his whole family.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Good guy.
Yeah,
really
Dean
good guy.
Good guy. Yeah.
And brought the section through some lean times.
Sure.
There were some tough times there in the 90s.
They're always tough times.
No,
in this
but,
other
you know,
section.
they're-
always. Come on, Bob.
Not now, man.
What do you mean not now?
They're flush.
You've seen what Wygott's done to this section. Are you kidding me? He's turned it upside down. Has he?
Oh, by the way, today is the birthday of the LA City section.
Is it really?
84
Wow.
years ago today, they broke away from the southern section.
No kidding.
And became their own body. So happy birthday, LA City
kidding.
section. And also, this was the 51st straight game played at Dodger Stadium in baseball. That's great for the city section.
Good for them.
All right. So we talked about Dean Crowley passing away. We also have Bill Yoast. You know who Bill Yoast is?
I
Remember the Titans?
Afraid to say
Bill
I do
Yoast
not.
was one of
Remember
the
Eddie
coaches.
Yoast,
He
who
was
was
one
a
of the
great
coaches
baseball
from
player.
the movie Remember the Titans.
Remember the Titans,
He was the
yes.
head coach at T.C. Williams High School, who had to go work with Herm Boone at the other the rival high school.
Right.
And the big old story, some of you youngsters won't know the significance of that movie because you didn't grow up in that era, but believe
Check
me,
it
that
out.
was pretty crazy, man. I don't know how that would work out today.
I don't know.
That's just nuts. But unfortunately, Yost passed away. 94 years old, an outstanding guy. Made it work because those guys, when they merged the two high schools, one was predominantly white and the other was predominantly black. All right, one was all white, one was all black. All right, and they merged and they actually won a championship together. They actually got together in the same year, won a title. And the thing is, in that movie, the coaches didn't get along at all, guys. Well, in real life, they roomed together. They were rooming together when they were, during their training and all this stuff.
movies, you got to create a little extra drama.
Yeah,
in there.
of course.
Creative license.
Of course.
That's
yes.
a good way to put it.
That's how they put it.
All right, another coaching change today. We found out that Zach Coakley, the head coach at Santa Fe High School, took his girls as an at-large team into the playoffs and won CIF with it. Then went into state and got into the quarterfinals. He got hired away from Santa Fe.
Yeah.
Went to Whittier Christian
No, good for him.
charter school.
That's
ran
a great
Yeah,
hire.
charter school.
That's a great. You love to see that. You love to see young coaches working their way up and getting a chance, to get to the next level. Obviously a blow for Santa Fe. I'm sure they'll find somebody who can come in and take that. But good for coach getting a chance to move up.
Coakley, I don't know, man. Grass may not be greener. I understand the pay scale getting higher, but Coakley had a young team this year, predominantly sophomores, juniors, and one senior, I believe, and got them that far into the playoffs and even into the state. So Coakley already on the move. We'll see who the next head coach of Santa Fe is. Going to inherit a good group of girls. I'll tell you that right now.
There's a lot of coaching. Santa Margarita hired their new girls basketball coach, Christina Ware Marinacci, former player at Foothill High School, McDonald's All-American. So lots of coaching changes going on in girls basketball. I think this is the time of year you start to see that stuff happen.
And I lost a friend, too, because he left. Jeff Reinert at Santa Margarita.
I was
has
gonna
left.
say,
Great
more
coach.
news out of Santa Margarita.
Won a D1 championship, now took a college basketball coaching job at Southern Idaho, College of Southern Idaho. So we wish Jeff Reinert the best of luck. He had a great career, 7 good years at Santa Margarita as the head basketball coach.
Went out as a CIF
And as a champion.
Everybody moving on.
It's a good way to do it.
All right, real quick, guys. Randy, biggest story in the LA City section this year, in your opinion?
Well, I think there's 3 really good stories.
All right.
One of them we saw today, the three-peat.
Yep.
That has to be in there by Birmingham. It's only the 3rd time it's ever been
It's
done.
historical.
That's historical. So's Narbonne winning 5 in a row in
Absolutely.
football.
Another history
6
maker.
is the all-time record by Banning back in the 70s. So that could be tied next year by Narbonne and should be. And by the way, Manuel Douglas was here today to support the baseball team. The football coach was here when they won earlier today in our D1 game. And the other big
You
story.
think Dorsey and Crenshaw would be in that mix?
No,
5
not
in a
next
row.
year.
You know what I mean? Because they're so stellar.
They were
so
so good.
They
stellar
were in
back
the
day.
mix, but they can't beat Narbonne anymore.
Okay.
The program's too good. That's not.
But
to
talking
take
about
anything-
winning 5 in a row,
5
you
in a
said
row.
Banning.
You would have
That's what
thought at
we're
some
talking.
point,
You would have thought that Dorsey or
Crenshaw or Dorsey, yeah, would have done that.
Crenshaw's the last team to knock Narbonne out of it. Narbonne's won 7 out of 8 in football.
Right.
They should have won the game they lost. They had some problems snapping the ball, or they would have won 8 in a row by now. So they've won 7 out of 8. Now the other big story is for you, Rich.
All right.
Has to be San Fernando's wrestling girls team winning the state championship. That was huge for the city because they don't win state championships in
they
wrestling.
don't.
So for them to get, even though the girls been around a little bit shorter period of time, doesn't have quite the history statewide. That was mammoth. That was huge for the city section, for the girls of San Fernando to win the state wrestling championship.
Yeah, it is a big deal. And when you consider the girls wrestling hasn't really been a sport. They've been wrestling with the guys, and some of them would actually make it, do pretty well, but they now have the all-girls team. And for somebody in the LA City section to come in and dominate the Clovises of the world, or even the Norte Vistas or West Covinas, it's amazing.
The other thing I would say is Fairfax winning the boys basketball championship, wrestling the title away from Westchester. They beat 3 times.
Yeah, they did.
And for Steve Bake, who later resigned after winning the championship at Fairfax, he became the first high school basketball coach in Southern California to win the CIF Southern Section Championship and then back it up with an LA City Section Championship at the highest level. Yeah. So Steve Bake in Fairfax, that would be a next level, still a great story, though.
Yeah.
All right, Bob, we talked earlier, you were talking about probably the biggest story was back-to-back national championships by Modern Day.
Yeah, I mean, it really did. That says something. I mean, and the way they started off the season, having to forfeit the victory over Bishop Amat on the field, and boy, that thing could have easily just kind of – it could have fallen apart really easy.
Did.
But I tell you, so much talent on that Modern Day team, and to go on and to beat the teams they beat. I mean, they beat everybody put in front of them, beat all these top teams, IMG and St. John Bosco. And Jay Serra was a top nationally ranked team.
Lakeside.
At one point, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
they got everybody.
So and Centennial in the playoffs, of course.
And they got their shot at Bishop Amat again in the playoffs.
And they did, and they cleaned them out there too. So I mean, for Modern Day to come back like that, even with officially a loss on their record, but really to be
it wasn't a loss.
Really to have back-to-back undefeated seasons like that really says something. To run the gamut in the Trinity League like that, come on. I mean, that's good stuff by Modern Day right there. I don't know if they'll be able to do that again. I don't know if there's a three-peat for the Monarchs this year. That'd be a tall order, but you never know.
It could happen.
You never know.
There's only one other team in the Southern section that's going to compete with Modern Day. Actually, there's 2. One Centennial, and Corona Centennial, and the other one is Bosco.
It's Bosco, and we're down to 3 teams in that open division
That's
conversation.
pretty much it.
But I think, and this is a great conversation I think we're going to have all next year, is can Narbonne knock on the door and maybe bust the party up in that open division and get in there and make a name for themselves, because Narbonne's going to have as much talent as anybody.
We talked about on the previous show. Randy had mentioned all the transfers they have coming in, but you've got to remember they're going to sit out 5 games, and you're going to have Corona Centennial on your schedule early on in that. So maybe you might not have enough. Like last year, you didn't have enough to beat Centennial.
Plus a trip to Hawaii.
Maybe you might have had enough when your transfers all came in, but they're going to sit out those 5 games. And that could hurt them.
That's the problem when there's one slot. Because Narbonne at the end of the year next year might be the best team in the state. But if they lose a game or 2 early when they're not all together, it'll cost them there. But they'll go to a lower division state bowl and they'll be favored in my opinion.
They have a shot, but Bosco's coming back with that big quarterback, 6'5", Ukulele or whatever. I mean, that dude's an animal.
Yep.
Modern Day's got one too at quarterback, the guy from Cathedral.
Right.
I mean, everybody's coming back, man. So when we come back this next season, it's going to be awesome. It's going to be all kinds of stuff to talk about. We don't know where it's going to go, but we're looking forward to it.
It'll be good stuff.
Well, that's about it. The season's over, fellas. No place better to end it here than at Dodger Stadium.
You got it.
Look online. Me and Bob were in the museum earlier looking around, showing Bob all my All-Star stuff, and I'm in there too.
How about me getting splashed today?
That was the best. That was the
that's already gone viral, along with Eric's horse who lost today.
Oh, still running.
Sondheimer. Anyways, we had a great time here. So congratulations to Birmingham. Congratulations to Narbonne Baseball. And on behalf of Bob Gibson and Randy Rosebloom and the cast and crew here, I'm Richard Stray saying so long from your friends here and so long from Dodger Stadium. That's it. Good night, everybody. The first annual SoCal Prep Bowl, featuring all-star teams from Los Angeles versus Orange County, is slated for Friday night, June 7th at the new Titan Stadium on the Pioneer High School campus in Whittier. Kickoff is at 7 p.m. This is the former 605 All-Star Football Classic, which had a 50-year history. Instead of the 605 freeway being used as a dividing line between east and west, the county line will be the border. That's the SoCal Prep Bowl, sponsored by the U.S. Navy, Friday evening, June 7th, at the new Titan Stadium on the Pioneer High School campus, located on the corner of the 605 freeway and Slauson Avenue in Whittier.